Welcome back. There is a live look outside from the Oregon coast. That's our Inn at Spanish Head Resort Hotel camera in Lincoln City. Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. Is it possible that the traumas of your parents or grandparents could be affecting your life today without you even realizing it? Our next guest says absolutely. As the son of Holocaust survivors, he knows all too well the consequences of family trauma. Here to tell us more, we welcome the author of Confessions of a Problem Seeker, Howard Steinberg. Thank you so much for joining us, Howard.
My pleasure. Thank you.
A really timely conversation with your book coming out, and Holocaust Remembrance Day is coming up next week. It can be a really complicated remembrance for a lot of people. Is there a certain way that you or your family mark the occasion?
No, not really. We don't look at holidays or occasions as reasons to honor or acknowledge. But through the course of writing my book, I became much better in touch with the consequences and the meaning of those experiences. I was shocked at how it affected me and my life, and now the life of my own children.
It sounds like you were aware as a young child that your parents had survived and endured quite a bit, but the specifics weren't really there. It wasn't really talked about. I think a lot of people can relate to that.
No, I think, and often with Holocaust survivors, it can go in one or two directions where all they want to do is talk about it and try to heal, and the other is just avoidance. And my parents were avoidant, and it's easy to understand why the horrors that they experienced were something they wanted to keep not only distant from their children, but also just from their hearts. They didn't want to feel those things anymore, and that had its implications in my childhood. They gave me a lot of positive things, but they also gave me some things that made my life more challenging too.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense when you kind of see everything in that bigger context. You share so many experiences in the book, like being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes as a young child, and that was really scary at the time and not really understanding very much about it.
No, and the way my parents parented affected me greatly, because it didn't have to be getting type 1 diabetes as a child, and even though back then it was kind of less common and perhaps more severe, didn't have the treatments that we have today. But because particularly my mom couldn't feel and couldn't open her heart and empathize with what I was going through, because for her that would have been too painful, I was kind of left alone emotionally to self-parent through that. And the way that impacted me every day forward was I was just oriented to safety and survival. The household could be dark at times. Joy was not to be trusted necessarily. And so I went about just completely responding to life in a survival state. And so entrepreneurship, marriage, children, etc., were all attempts for me to feel comfortable and safe in the moment.
You live this outwardly very successful life, as you mentioned, with businesses and kids. And what was the moment you kind of realized that there was something missing there that you wanted to start seeking a little bit more?
There was always kind of a quiet whisper that there's something more here, just generally in life, that there's something bigger. But my dissatisfaction, I had a very hard time just being in the moment, feeling comfortable in the present moment. And hence the title of the book, Confessions of a Problem Seeker. I was always analyzing. I was always looking back or looking in the future, but never quite in the moment. And it got to a point in midlife where it really became a reckoning. Like, I have to go in deeper and investigate this. And that began my search, and a lot of work, a lot of deep work. And that's when I was so surprised at the relevancy of the Holocaust. And only now did I start to get to know my parents as humans, as humans that had their own suffering, their own complexities, and that's what parents are. We're humans, right? And we're imperfect, and we do our best, but we imbue our children with both good things and sometimes things that are not so healthy.
Right, and then as you have your own breakthroughs with this stuff, it's so helpful to learn and understand, but then also maybe unlearning some bad habits, and it's kind of difficult to adjust your whole framework of life on a dime like that.
So hard, because our egoic selves, our ego is here to protect us. And it does a great job at that. But sometimes the ego needs to step back and relax. And I had very dominant controller and protector parts because, again, I was in survival mode for most of my life. And I still am. I mean, those things just don't disappear. But the work and revealing the wounds and getting more connected with myself started to soften it and continued to soften over time, where now I can live a more present, authentic life as I get to be kind to myself and just love myself. And then I could be a better parent to my daughters.
Yeah. I mean, is that your hope for people who might read the book, that they can tap into that as well and see if they feel that missing piece as well, there might be something else to discover for them too?
Yeah, it's everything. I think many of us, as I did, we just, we wander about in default mode. We're just coping and believing that there is no other way. But my work let me dropping down into my heart. And now as I navigate life, I always witness where I am. And I ask myself, is that an ego decision or is that a decision based in heart and in love? And I think that's what it's about. And through that, again, people can be loving to themselves and kind to themselves as they march forward in life, as I do.
That's such a great place to start. Thank you for sharing part of your story with us. It was so nice chatting with you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Howard's book again is Confessions of a Problem Seeker. We'll have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.